Alright, so it's time for another report. This one probably won't be as long as the first one because there's not really a lot else to talk about and kind of give you the overview of everything. Just a couple of kind of side notes in this January transfer window. What is it with Spurs offloading almost their entire team? They let go 5 players in this window for whatever reason. I don't know whether they need the money for the new stadium and the game is just decided to factor that in just randomly or what. I have no idea. That's the most bizarre thing, but Manchester City just selling Aguero, that is just like the thing, isn't it? Like, what on earth is that about? I mean, what is it about Manchester City all of a sudden? You know, at the start of the season they had that 12-game unbeaten run, and since we beat them, it's like fallen apart for them. They just slumped completely out of the top 4 now. I didn't know a derby loss could destroy their morale entirely, and now they're out of the top 4. And what was weird about that is we didn't even score a goal against City. It was a Kevin De Bruyne own goal, so explain that. I can't. So let's just give you kind of an overview of how things are going. Currently leading the league by, I think it's 4 points. We'll have a look at that in a minute because obviously some other scores might have just happened in the meantime. Round of 32 in the FA Cup, we have a replay against Chelsea, which we'll probably play soon. I need to find out when the date of that is. We have obviously no real kind of update on the youth objective. We've played Chris Ward once. I'll make sure to fulfill that before the season's over. Brand exposure is now at 92%. This has actually gone up a lot slower than I thought, but we are going to get it by the end of the season, I would have thought. Anyway, so no real problems there, I don't think. And Europe, we've reached the last 16. Obviously, I explained all this before. Anywhere near the semi-finals will probably be a more realistic objective for the storyline. So that's the objectives for you. There's obviously no real changes there apart from what you've already seen. Let's just give you the lowdown on how things are going actually around the place because we haven't had some updates on, like, say, the Carabao Cup. So yeah, not much changes in the league. That hasn't changed since we reported after the Burnley game. We have 4 round 4 replays. So Southampton, Middlesbrough. We're up against Chelsea, Leicester v Blackburn, and Nottingham Forest v Brentford, as you would probably know from the scores last time. So it hasn't changed there. Carabao Cup finals quite interesting, isn't it? Manchester City and Everton. I mean, wow, that's just Everton's season. And Manchester City in the final of the Cup after all their disastrous league stuff falling apart. Maybe they've prioritised other competitions. Maybe we have a reason now why City have completely slumped. But I think it is quite humorous in some weird way how they've slumped completely out of the... yeah, we already knew all that stuff. So that's done. So let's actually go into some other stats then. Is it team stat? No, we want player stats, don't we? Because we want to know the scores and everything. This is it. Okay, so this is after past halfway point of the season, so it's a good time to check this out. Top scorers, Andone and Marcus Rashford, 11 goals apiece, and then Hazard and Dele Alli on 10. Rashford, once again, the most broken player in FIFA like ever. Much like last year, he's just tearing teams apart. He's doing it again. I think it's quite humorous how Marcus Rashford is just the most broken player in the game. In a good way for me, I suppose. Being a United fan. Let's see. Yeah, so the next one after Marcus Rashford's 11 goals is Alex Hunter on 6. I mean, wow. I mean, that just proves how much of a team effort it has been at United. There's so many different scores in different games with Marcus Rashford just running away with it. Harry Kane only has 6. That's bizarre. Jamie Vardy leaving Leicester for Napoli, by the way. I thought that was rather like, what on earth? Martial actually has 6 goals as well. Williams has 5 because Williams got that double against Burnley. Keoji, Pereira, Pogba is the last person on this list, only with 5 goals. Assists-wise, Christian Eriksen actually has the most assists with 8. I'm not sure how City is slumping so far down there. That makes no sense. Sigurdsson there on 3, and what was interesting was that Gilbert Sigurdsson was actually in the golden boot race for Marcus Rashford last season. So now he's really excelling in assists. It's weird how much it changed in a year. Velisa is there on 6 as well. And then we got Martial, Sanchez, Lingard, Hunter, all on 6 and 5. They fill out the entire middle of that list. James Milner, a few assists there. Son, of course, assists. Kane gets 4. Okay. Gomez is not 4. That's not Angel Gomez, obviously. Rashford has 4. Pogba has only 3. That's bizarre. Firmino, who's like the false 9 at Liverpool, has 3 somehow. It's weird how these assist numbers work out. Now look at this. This is rather hilarious because Ederson of Manchester City, 11 clean sheets, and that was probably in a row. And then we lost to City. We beat City, rather, and then their slump happened. It's incredible. Bernard Leno is up on 6. Up on 6. Okay. Even though in real life Arsenal struggled to keep clean sheets, Leno apparently has 6. Okay. David De Gea has 6, which is probably much more than he had last season. The goalkeeping, once again, is freaking awful in FIFA. I just want to point that out. Wolves, Patrico on 5. Okay. Who else is here? Huddersfield on 4. Laseo, obviously, Laseo had that awesome game against us, if you remember. Brighton goalkeeper has 4. That's Ryan. Karius only has 4. Schmeichel and Jan Kombolich have clean on this list. Cabello now has like 2. I don't know why Cabello played in the FA Cup, but you know he kept us out. Fabianski has 2. Lloris only has 2 for Spurs. Weird. Begovic and Button has a couple for Brighton. Actually, Cardio Bravo only actually has 2 clean sheets on this list. He's only played 7 matches though. Kraft has 2, McCarthy 2, Adrian 2. Cabello has 2 for Chelsea. What? Oh no, I'm going Pat. Okay. Tom Heaton, by the way, second best goalkeeper on 7 clean sheets. Okay. Yellow cards. Pereira for Leicester City has 7. He's on his own at the moment. No one else of any real note here. Mark Noble. I guess that's no surprise for West Ham. Johnny Evans has 3. Okay. Otamendi has 3. Matip has 3. And no one of real any note there. Okay. So red cards, Leighton Baines, Johnny Evans, Ondeveld, Oldeby, Shelby. I almost called him Shelby out of Heavy Rain. That would have been hilarious. Bennett, Smith, Duffy, Cook, Cedric, Stones, Bellerin. Bellerin's at Everton. I missed that. Elmeni has 1. Robertson has Torreira. 2 Arsenal players sent off. 3 if you count Bellerin, who's gone to Everton. I still don't really understand that one. And that's about it for that one. So there's that. So I guess the last thing to check on is the squad hub as of right now. And let's see who's grown and lost a bit. Well, David De Gea hasn't really grown much. I guess it's no surprise considering, you know, he's David De Gea and he's the number 1 rated goalkeeper. Not that that counts for anything in FIFA because the goalkeeping is awful as expected. It's probably even worse than last year. Del Piero not really grown much. He's, you know, no need because the goalkeeping is just awful. Now, this I'd like to point out. I did say there were no sellings for Manchester United, and that holds true for the storyline. But according to the game, Matteo Darmian is now joining Atletico Madrid. But you know, in FIFA 20, that won't be happening. So disregard that. Oh my God! Can you believe this? I just got this message before I started this video. Now Fuzi Mensah is going to be out for 2 months with a broken ankle. Are you fucking kidding? He's been the best player on the game, like one of the best players on the game. Oh my God! And it had to be the fullbacks, didn't it? You know, I had to get a fullback in. I've had 2 injury fullbacks this season, and now I can't buy anybody. Not that I couldn't find anybody in the transfer window that would not interfere with the growth of Borthwick Jackson and Fuzi Mensah, because you know that they were my kind of big parts in the story this year. But now I've lost Fuzi Mensah to injury. I mean, that's just, God damn it. I guess, you know, we could just have formations that go around it. Dallo has actually grown a overall point, which is cool. Fuzi Mensah went up by 3. Obviously, take these notes down because I'll obviously be boosting stats in FIFA 20 to reflect this season's kind of statuses of everybody. No growth for Lindelof. Bailly has actually grown 1. Maguire 82. I don't think there's been any growth in Rojan Williams at all, so whoever he's on loan at probably isn't playing him too much. Chris Smalling is another one who is leaving, although not. He's going to Spurs, which is actually ironic. It's ironic that he's the only signing that Spurs made in the entire window, and they won't get until the summer transfer window, so I find that quite humorous, actually. But in the storyline, he's going nowhere. Rojo is the same. Twanzebe has gained a point. Awesome. Phil Jones is the same. Dimitri Mitchell probably isn't playing. I don't know where the Pite is. ACL injury, 5 weeks for Luke Shaw, but I think he's probably going to be effectively out to the end of the season. So I don't think we'll be seeing him again, unfortunately. Bulford Jackson has gained 4. I mean, that's insane. I think Bulford Jackson's probably had the most growth in the game, and that'll probably be official now, because I don't think we won't be able to grow Fuzumenza's stats back up again. So, yeah, he might have the biggest growth of anyone in the game for the rest of the season. That's kind of unfortunate, because I wanted Fuzumenza to be the biggest one. So here's Cameron Ward, who we played a few games back. He was on the verge of leaving the youth squad, so I thought I'd put him in the senior one. Obviously, after the 5 games are up, if he's the only one there, then we probably won't see him much again, but I need to factor that into the objective. Not that it matters, because we're pretty much on course to win a lot of stuff anyway. Pereira's still the same. Hamilton's still the same. Hamilton has actually grown up one, which is quite hilarious. McTominay's gained one as well. Fred's still on 82. Matty Wilcock has gained a point at St Mirren, and that's awesome. Herrera. Pogba's actually gained 1, he's now 89. Gomez has gained 1, he's just 71. Gribbin's gained 2 to 67. Some of these guys I haven't even played. And pretty much status quo. Joshua Buai and Alexander Isak. I'm going to say this right now. They are freaking terrible in this game. For some reason. I mean, I know they're young players and everything, but every time they've played, they've been awful. Isak has probably been a little bit unlucky in most cases, but overall, these two have been absolutely terrible compared to Rashford and Martial. I mean, yes, you probably can't do that because, that's hardly fair, but at the end of the day, these two have been awful to use in FIFA. To use in FIFA, I should say. They're not awful players, obviously, but to use in FIFA, they've been pretty terrible, honestly. Rashford's gained 2 to 82, no surprise there because he's banging them in. Hunter's still the same. Martial's gained 1 to 83. Danny Williams has gained 3 to 78. That's impressive, actually. James Wilson's gained a point to 67. Chong has gained 6, so that's actually Chong who has gained the most points. And he had that stunning hat-trick against Brighton, which was absolutely insane. And Sanchez has still lost 1, weirdly enough. I'm not sure why, because he's been tearing it up. It could be his age, perhaps. But 30 is not really where you lose stuff, so I'm not really sure why that is. But Sanchez has been kind of a revelation at United this year, so there you go. And that's pretty much it for the January transfer report. Just one thing on real life. Thank God we let go of Jose Mourinho. Thank God I don't ever have to talk about his ass again, apart from the end of the season, which I'll obviously give my reports on more on real life and in the game as well. But thank God we got rid of him, because hasn't things been much better since Solskjaer took over? As of today, 7 out of 7. Insane. Absolutely insane. I'm loving it. And thank God. I'll talk a bit more about what I think should go on later in the season, at the end of the season, because I didn't do a post-season report last year because I was just so pissed off with the game and with real life in general, and it was just turned into a rant video. I recorded it about 2 or 3 times and it just ended up being rants, so I didn't want to come across as just a ranting, whining bitch, I guess. But yeah, I'll talk more about that later, but just as a small synopsis, thank God, absolute, I'm just glad that farce is over. And Solskjaer, he's doing great, isn't he? But I'll talk more about that later. Alright guys, so to just keep this video as short as possible, I will be off. The next game is against Leicester City, and isn't that hilarious? Taheef Chong is now on the January of the month Player of the Month list. I'll just leave this there. Peace out, guys. I'll see you against Leicester.